What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Lion. I make videos on dating and relationships. I'm a female dating coach. So if that's something that you want to learn about, please consider subscribing to this channel. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different, and I think it's going to be a beginning of a new segment on this YouTube channel. This is actually something that I've done before on my Instagram channel. So for all of those who are watching this, who are also sign up to my Instagram channel. You've probably seen it before. I just felt that it was going to be a better place to do it here on YouTube, where I have an unlimited amount of time and I can make longer videos. But also because they stay on, the channel for much longer, forever, and not the way they have been when I used to post them on my Instagram stories. I used to have this thing I used to do on Instagram where I called it rants outside the gym. I used to literally be sitting in my car before I walked into the gym and share, on a daily basis almost, share some thoughts with you. They were very, unscripted, raw, very direct. In a lot of ways, a lot of you noticed they were very passionate as well. And I just kind of like told you what I felt. So this is kind of like the stuff that in between the videos are more politically correct. I really take my time to make sure that I use the right language and also trying to please the algorithm. And then these stories that I used to do on Instagram were more like that direct advice specific to those who I felt needed to more than anything hear it the most. Right. So this is kind of like the, I take you and I shake you a little bit type of advice that I feel like a lot of people maybe are missing certain points in my videos or not hearing what I'm saying, or maybe often, right, hearing what I'm not saying. So I decided to move this from Instagram stories onto YouTube right here. So expect these videos to be a little bit longer, to be a little bit more raw, to be a little bit more direct, to be, maybe even a little bit just more triggering. So if that's something that you're into, if you want that raw, no BS, direct advice, which is something that I've kind of built my entire brand around, then these videos are going to be all about that. In today's video, I want to talk about something that honestly I've posted countless videos about, and I feel like so many people, right? So many people get it, by the way. So many people get it. The majority of people who are following me on Instagram, on YouTube here, get it. You guys are watching this, and you guys, I understand exactly where you're coming from, Lion. This is actually great advice that helped me a lot. It changed my perspective and is now giving me way better results in dating. That's the majority of people. I would say 95% or 90% of people who hear that advice, they get it. But for some reason, 5% just refuse. And unfortunately, and that's just the way it is on social media, those who refuse, those who, are those who leave most of the comments. These are the type of people, those who get it, they just get it. And they double tap the video, they move on with their lives and then continue on with their day. Those who don't, and it kind of happens to be like those who have a lot of time to waste and have a very negative approach, not just to dating, but to their lives in general, that they need, right, to like do this keyboard warrior thing when they have to disagree in a comment. Listen, I just want to tell you that right off the bat, right now, right? Someone who does social media for a living, right? If you are watching social media posts and something that's being said is something you disagree with, the absolute best thing that you could do for yourself and for everyone else in the world is just to move on with your life, right? There's going to be a ton of shit out there, online, offline, that is not going to align with you, that you're not going to agree with, right? Watch it, move on with your life. If you are there and you're leaving negative, angry, comments, you're trying to prove your point, you are the problem. You are your own problem. Right. And I want to say one more thing about that. Right. And again, this is like where the raw, advice really comes out. If you are on this channel, right, is obviously because if you're, following me, if the algorithm figured and recommended my videos to you, it's because you're probably interested in that type of content. It's because you're probably trying to learn something about dating, about relationships. It's probably because you are trying to invest in that area of your life because you are not at the point where you want to be, which is completely fine, right? So by definition, if you are doing whatever it is that you've been doing or not doing whatever it is that you have not been doing, and you're not where you want to be, which is the whole reason of why you are here, right? Advice that you disagree with is probably the best type of advice for you, right? Think about it. If you're there and you only are trying to find advice that you already agree with in principle, right? That already aligns with what you have been doing in the past, then that's probably the wrong advice for you, right? They say insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you only look out there on social media to try to find advice that you already agree with, that already aligns with your current beliefs, that already aligns with your current dating patterns and habits, right? Then chances are, if by following that advice, you will continue getting what you have always gotten, which obviously is not what you want. Because if you would have gotten what you want, you wouldn't be there right now, right? So the best advice most of the time is advice that makes you feel uncomfortable. Is probably advice that makes you, you know what I mean? That challenges your current beliefs, that challenges your current habits, that goes against what maybe you have been told before, that goes against what you have been doing before, right? Because if you only go out there and you try to find advice that you already agree with, you're wasting your own time. Then what's the point of doing that? Right? Advice is only as good, right? If it challenges you, if it makes you grow, if it teaches you something. If you only are looking out there for things that, oh yeah, I already believe that. Oh yeah, I already believe that. Oh yeah, I already believe that. Then what are you doing? You're wasting your own time here on social media, right? This is not a, you should pick up a different hobby. You should pick up something that's a little bit more interesting. You should, pick up something that's going to actually give value to you and make your life more interesting rather than just going on social media and mindlessly scrolling to try to find things that you already agree with. Right? So the stuff I'm talking about specifically is first dates. I know it took me a little bit of a while to get to the point of this video, but the stuff that we're talking about today is the most underrated, yet the absolute best advice. This is where you should start, right? The absolute best advice. The first thing that you should do on the first date is make sure that your first dates, right? And if you watch my Instagram post a couple of days ago, you know what I'm talking about. First dates, right, should be short, sweet, right? Should be cheap, right? And they should be just something. It's your first opportunity to really get to know someone. A first date is not a dinner date. A first date is not about an impressive, cool, interesting, fun activity. It's not about that. The first date should be like the venue, the setting, right? The place for the first date should be the most boring possible thing. I'm not saying that the date should be boring. I'm saying that the place, the venue, the type of activity should be the most boring thing that it could possibly be. I'm talking about like a 30 minutes, right? Not more than that. 30, 45 minutes is the longest first date that you should ever have, right? I'm talking on a weekday, during the day preferably. Like I'm talking about like something like during your lunch break, right? At a coffee shop, at a Starbucks, across the street from where you work. Right? You shouldn't have to like clear your day for that. You shouldn't have to get ready and find an outfit and go get your hair. None of that stuff. The first date is the first opportunity to get to know one another. It's supposed to be the most casual thing, right? And I'm not just saying that because I feel like, it's dumb on both sides to be spending money on first dates. I feel like if you're at that stage of dating, you should be dating multiple people. You should be putting yourself out there. It's all about the amount of opportunities and just possibilities, right, that you are creating for yourself, right? So you should be dating a lot. And I feel like that's completely stupid to try to spend $100, $200 on each of these dates, on both the women and the female and the male side, right? And spend a lot of time as well. You want them to be rather quick because it's the first opportunity to get to know someone, right? There's a huge chance here, right? I don't care how long you've been talking before. I don't care if you guys have been texting each other for 2 months. By the way, if you've been texting each other for over like 2 weeks trying to get to know one another, you're wasting your time. You guys are pen pals. You guys are not going to be in a relationship. I can almost guarantee you that, right? So the first date is the first opportunity to really begin getting to know someone. No amount of texting, no amount of phone calls, no amount of video chats are going to replace that. All of those things are good ideas, by the way, before the first date. You should text them a little bit before that. You should hop on the phone call. You should hop on a video chat with them anyways, right? So if you're thinking, oh yeah, but me, it's different because I do video, you should do video chats anyway, right? Everyone should do a video chat, should do a phone call, should do some texting, right? A little bit, I'm talking about a week, max 2, prior to the first date anyway. But you really start getting to know someone, you're really only able to start weeding people out on the first date. This is where you actually begin to get to know someone, right? Texting. If I have the luxury of just taking my time to respond to you and making sure that when I respond, it's in the most, romantic, it's in the most intelligent and charming and funny and, romantic way possible, you're not getting to know me. You're getting to know like a version of me that I want you to get to know. Right? If I'm sitting there at home and I'm on the phone comfortable and I can say, you know what I mean? It's not the same. People on the phone, people even on video chats are not the same. It's really only starts getting real when you and I are in the same room, when we're breathing the same air, when I can see if you're being uncomfortable by a question, if I can see that you're being comfortable and you're being passionate about certain things because you can't shut up about them. That's when I begin, right? Just begin really getting to know you and vice versa. So this is the first opportunity. The last thing that you want to do is go on a 3-hour dinner date and then get stuck with someone that you don't connect. Right? What are you saying, not only to them, but what are you saying to yourself? That your value, someone's ability to provide you dinner, right? A chicken salad sandwich, fried calamari, a dirty martini, that you value these things over your time, that you're completely okay, that you got nothing going on a Saturday night and you're just going to clear that schedule for this complete stranger at this point, right? Because they're going to pay for your dinner. You're not homeless, right? If you're watching this, you're not homeless, right? All of these people are just taking things out of context and thinking that that's what being feminine is all about. Like that's what chivalry is all about. That's completely the wrong definition of what that is. If you want to show up the right way, you want to show up as a confident, strong, independent person, right? That's true for both men and women, but especially for women, right? Because that is going to allow you to then attract, right? A very similar type of dynamic from the type of man that you want to attract. Also someone with confidence, also someone who values their time, right? So if you're just out there and you just agree on these weekend dates, right, on a Saturday night, and it has to be a 3-hour, 4-hour thing, right? And by the way, if you're going for dinner, that's how long that is, right? And for the most part, 99.99% of people, if you don't feel like you're connecting, you're still going to sit there till the end of that date. You're still going to probably order dessert and waste your time. You're saying to yourself, just like you're saying to them, you got nothing better going on with your time. So where's that confidence? Where's that empowered, independent, strong woman is? I don't see her. I don't know if you see her, but I don't see her. Because the confident, strong, independent, empowered woman, right, has stuff going on, right? Taking her on a weekend date is something a man still needs to earn. He needs to show her, right, on the first date. And by the way, so many of you, like I see this in the comments. I almost feel like I want to read some of these comments to you. But I see this in the comments. Some of you are like, oh, well, it's not really the first date. I call it a meet and greet. I call it the first meeting. It's not really, you can call it whatever you want to call it, right? You can call it a pink elephant if you want to. But the first time you're meeting someone with that romantic potential, right, that you met on a dating app, you met at the gym, you met through a friend, you met at a party. I don't care how you met them, right? But the first time you actually go and spend time in person with them, I don't care what you do. If you just walk through the parking lot outside of your job, that you go for coffee, for tea, for a walk in the park, for a walk down the beach, or for dinner, or for whatever that thing is, that's a date. All right, let's just like the terminology here of what you call it is irrelevant. It does not matter what you call it. It's a date, right? The first time you go out with someone in person, right, with that romantic connotation, that's a date. 100%, that's a date, right? So that first date, again, is your first opportunity to really start getting to know one another. This is not you trying to impress each other with money, right? Or with your ability to like take to a nice restaurant. There's a time and place for that, by the way. There's a time and place to go and do a nice, cool activity, right? There's a time and place to go on a hiking thing. There's a time and place to go and do axe throwing together. There's a time and place to go and do all of these, like a comedy club and a movies and all of these other cool activities that you might potentially enjoy, right? There's nothing wrong with them, by the way. It's just not an activity for the first date. A first date should be about one thing and one thing alone, and that is getting to know one another. And the best way to get to know one another is by eliminating all of these distractions. It's not about adding these distractions, right? Like if you go to like a 5-star restaurant and you, oh, this was great. What was great? Was the person great? Did you get to know them a little bit? Or were you just so focused on the distractions, on the meal, on the drinks, on the service, on the venue, on the plate? None of these things should be a factor on the first date. On the first date, the only thing that should matter is your conversation, right? What you should be impressed by on the first date is not their ability to pay for your calamari, but their ability to carry on an interesting conversation. And by your ability to participate in that conversation and see, hey, does this conversation actually flowing? Are we having a good time? Do we have a similar sense of humor? Do we have similar passions? Right? Do we just enjoy each other's companies without having to need all of these other things going on just to distract us from the fact that we are on this date, with this person? That's what it should all be about. A first date, and I don't care what you call it, a first date should be about one thing and one thing alone, and that is to begin getting to know one another. It is not about trying to impress each other. It is not about the food. It is not about like all of these other distractions. It should be just about getting to know one another. And the best way to do that, right, is to keep it nice and short, right? 30 minutes, 45 minutes at the most, right? It's to eliminate the distractions. So it should be something very, very, very simple. It should be a walk in the park. You don't even have to buy anything. It should be about, maybe coffee, maybe tea. Listen, I tell you that coffee dates are one of my favorite type of dates. I don't drink coffee. I've had coffee one time in my life and I regretted that day and I never had it again. And I still think that they're a great date. You don't have to have coffee. You can have tea. So many like stupid comments that I get. Yeah, but if my date is after 6 p.m., I don't drink coffee after 5. You can have water. You can have tea. You can have juice. You can have nothing. You could just have a little bit of that dessert that they serve at that place. You can have a cookie if you want to. Right? You can have nothing. You can just have a glass of water. It's not about what you put in your mouth. It's not what that's not what this is about. This is about your ability to carry on a conversation, to enjoy each other's companies, and to just like begin the process of getting to know one another. That's it. That's why you want to keep it short. So in case, hey, this is not really going, somewhere, then you can just very easily say, okay, cool. Listen, thank you very much. I appreciate you meeting me. Have a great day, and you just move on with your life. That's why you also want to like choose a venue where it's easy to keep a date short, right? If you're going on a dinner date, you can't keep it to 30 minutes or even to an hour, right? Because by the time you sit down and you find a place and you wait in line, by the time, like the waiter comes in and actually offers you the menus, by the time you order, by the time you get the first, appetizer and you get the main meal and you get the dessert, all of these things, I guarantee you that's going to be 2 to 3 hours minimum. So if you're there with someone that bores the hell out of you, if you're there with someone that is just bluntly showing you that they're not the type of person that you want to be with and vice versa, you both there stuck. You're both there stuck. And you know what I mean? Until the end of that date. I don't know about you guys, but my time is way more valuable than that. I much rather do something that I love to do with my hour, right? And buy my own dinner and buy my own drink, right? Than sit down there and pretend that I'm having a good time and do all of these fake smiles and all just because someone is potentially maybe going to pay for my dinner. Where's that empowerment, ladies, where you need it? You know what I mean? This is where that empowerment is all about. This is where that confidence is all about. This is what it's about. Not the fact that you're like, he needs to buy me these things. By the way, they don't owe you anything. No one owes you anything. They don't even owe you for that dinner. They don't owe you for that tea. They don't owe you for that coffee. You don't owe each other anything at this point. So these expectations on both sides, just like you don't think that he should be expecting anything physical on the first date, right? You don't think that that's true, even if he buys you dinner. I don't agree with that either, right? You guys don't owe each other anything. So you want to make it as casual as possible, right? So if we're talking about paying for each other, we're talking like $5-10, right? So there are no expectations beyond that on either side. That's kind of the whole point. Again, there's a time and place for that. There's a time and place to allow the type of masculine man that you want to attract to take you out on a nice dinner. There's a time and place for that, right? There's maybe date 6 and 7 and 8 and whatever, right? To like go on a nice thing, go on a nice activity, have fun with each other. And where it could be about the experience and not just about this. But the first date is only, right, and entirely about this. I don't know where this message comes from, but I feel like maybe there are a few creators out there who created these bullshit videos that tell you that, oh, you need a guy to like take you out on something fancy, blah, 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 because that apparently shows the amount of effort or the amount of interest he has in you. Listen, I'm going to tell you straight up. He at this point should not be interested in you. You know why? because he doesn't know you. Right? On both sides, neither of you at this point know each other, and therefore neither of you should be really interested in each other. Neither of you should have serious intentions about one another because you guys don't know one another. Right? Because guys don't know the first thing about one another. Even if you've been texting for the past few weeks, even if you've had a video call, even if you had a video chat, even if your best friend knows their cousin who's best, I don't care. You guys don't know the first thing about one another. Neither of you are just trying to impress each other. Neither of you should be serious or should really like each other. This is just the first opportunity to get to know one another. So none of these things about like, oh, if he does this matters. All right. And I'm going to tell you one more thing. All right. A guy who's trying to impress you with their money, it's either a guy who literally, that's the only thing that he has going on for him. So he's obviously just trying to show you that and try to catch you with that because he has no sense of humor. He has no self-confidence. He has no interesting conversations, anecdotes, or sense of humor to offer you. He has no other things to offer you, but so he's trying his best to just wow you with this. And hey, by the way, if you're that kind of a person, by the way, right? If you are, just want to build a relationship with someone who has money so they can just affect your lifestyle, then we're talking about a very different kind of dating. I'm not judging you. You can do whatever the hell you want. And I'm sure that you guys kind of exchange a service here. He's getting what he wants. You're getting what you want. And if that makes both of you happy, then by all means. The problem is that all of these comments that I get are not from women who claim to be gold diggers, are not from women who claim that they date solely for the purpose of elevating their lifestyles. I'm talking about women who say that they want a serious, committed relationship, that they want, a healthy type of equal partnership type of relationship. This is the type of women that I'm talking about, by the way, right? So if you claim that you want this, then you should want to keep your first dates very simple, very short, very sweet, and you should not be impressed by someone's ability to do that, right? So the type of men who try to win you over with money are either, again, guys who only have that, or guys who money is something that they are not confident about because they don't have enough, so they're trying to overcompensate, right? A guy who's confident with what he does, right? Because some women commented oh yeah, well, I make more than the guys who ask for coffee dates. That's complete BS, right? You are impressed by the wrong things. If you say this, it's because money to you, lady, right, is something that you're not confident about. It's something that you feel like you are lacking, right? Somebody who has money is not impressed by that, right? Somebody who's confident about that, I'm like, I don't care. We can literally do nothing. We can literally just walk around a parking lot and I'm happy because I can do all of these other things with my friends, with my family. I can do them alone. You know what I mean? I'm not impressed by a nice dinner. I'm not impressed by a nice car. I'm not impressed by, the area of where you live because I have all these things. So these things don't impress me, right? So they always go oh yeah, but you don't make more than them. Because if you did make more than that, if you were genuinely, truly confident about your finances, then you wouldn't think that way. You wouldn't be impressed by that. You would pay a lot more attention to a guy's ability to make you laugh. You would pay a lot more attention to a guy's ability to show you that their values, that their beliefs, that their goals align with yours. That would be way more important to you, right? Because again, you wouldn't go out there trying to find someone with money because, hey, guess what? You have that money. That's not something super important to you. Now, before you hear what I'm not saying that you should go out there and date men without money. Right? If you make a lot and they make nothing, that's going to come between you guys. That's going to make it very, very difficult to build a healthy relationship. And that's true for both situations. If you are looking for an equal partnership, then it works best when you guys are equals, right? Then you guys kind of have already coming into this relationship a similar lifestyle, that you guys make more or less the same amount, so you have similar interests, you are exposed to the same things. You know what I mean? That's where it works best. If one of you, and again, it doesn't really matter if it's the woman who makes more, the man who makes more, if you're coming into this, there's different kinds of relationships again. There are plenty of different kinds of relationships. Some people, are completely okay. You know what I mean? Like where the guy is making millions and you're literally unemployed and you guys are both happy in that relationship. But what you guys are looking out of that relationship is very specific. He's looking for maybe an arm candy. He's looking for just spending his time with someone. The woman is potentially looking for just elevating her lifestyle and just living a very different lifestyle than she's currently living. And hey, as long as you guys are both happy with this, who am I to judge? By all means, you do you. But if you guys are looking for that equal partnership right? Then it works best if you guys are already coming in as equals, right? And if you guys are truly equals, then you shouldn't be impressed by all of these BS, materialistic things. And again, I'm saying that there's a time and place. Maybe on the third date, you can go and have that beautiful, nice, Michelin star even restaurant. And if you guys are both into that kind of stuff, by all means, right? Have that. But that's not the first dates. First date, an opportunity to really start getting to know one another real quick and easy. And if it doesn't work out, hey, it's easy. You know what I mean? You finish your coffee, right? Like, again, like, you want to make sure that the things that you want to do become easier to do, right? So if you go to a dinner date and you say, I'm going to keep it, short, it's going to be very difficult. But if you're going to walk in the park, if you go to have ice cream, if you go grab maybe tacos at the taco stand, if you are, having coffee or tea with someone, it's so much easier to keep this date very short and sweet, right? We both grab coffee, we walk around the park, like, all right, it's a little chilly. Hey, this has been great. I enjoyed this. You have a great date. Maybe we'll do it again sometime. And that's it. So 30 minutes in and you could be out. If you had to do the same thing at a restaurant, that becomes rude. You have to what? Get up before they bring you your main course, or right after you finish that main course, before they bring in the bill, before they, ask you for dessert, and you just go, well, listen, I'm not into this. I'm just going to go. No, that's rude. You should never do that, right? But in order to avoid having to do that, then the first date should be nice and sweet and simple and casual, right? And I know a lot of people hate that word, but cheap. The fact that I'm saying the date should be cheap has nothing to do with the person being cheap. If you want to find out whether or not they're generous, whether or not that's a great thing, but there's more dates. You know what I mean? If the first date went well and the coffee went well, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for you to find that out. Right? There's going to be plenty of occasions, plenty of opportunities to see whether or not the person is, generous and all that. Don't try to find everything you need to find out on the first date. But again, if this is your number one priority to find out whether or not he's generous with his money, then you know what? Maybe your priorities are in the wrong place. Maybe instead of dating right now, you should be focusing on your finances. Maybe instead of dating right now, you should be focusing on building your finances, just your financial security. Maybe what you should be focusing your energy on right now is, your job, your career, or whatever that is. If that's something that's creating that sense of lack in your life right now, then dating should not be that route. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're really concerned, if you're like, oh, the first thing I want to know, if they're going to be generous and spend money on me, then what you should be worried about right now is not dating, is not men, is not relationships, right? Because you're looking for that security, financial security in the wrong place. You should, again, if you are that confident, empowered women that some of you claim to be, right? And it's okay if you're not, but you just have to be honest with yourself about who you are and what you want, because that's going to allow you to attract the type of stuff that you really want. Right? So don't be honest with me. Don't be honest with your friends. You don't need to drop a comment and say all these things. You just need to watch this and be honest with yourself about who you are and what you want and what you're putting what you're putting out there in order to attract what you currently are attracting. And again, if you're watching this and you're like, no, I disagree with that. It should be a long dinner date. It should be something fancy. It should take me on a nice blah, 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 and impress me with money and all of these things. Hey, if what you currently are doing, right? If you're watching this till the end of this video is going to be rather long, but if you're watching this so far and you're thinking, hey, I disagree with that, I want you to ask yourself a question and say to yourself, hey, if what you're doing so far is working for you, and when I say working for you, I mean like you are genuinely happy about dating, that you are content, that you love the process, that dating brings you joy, that you are feeling like you are building these healthy, relationships that you are looking for, that you are getting every day, you're getting one step closer to that, committed, serious, long-term, happy, healthy relationship that you are looking for with the type of man that you want. If you feel like you're doing that every day, you're getting close to that relationship every day, right? Which, by the way, if you are feeling like that, I don't know what you're doing 30 minutes into this video, but if you are feeling that, then by all means, you do you. Continue doing what you're doing, because what you're doing obviously works for you. Don't take my advice then. Don't take anyone else's advice who tells you to do something different than what you currently are doing, if it's working for you. But if what you're doing right now, if you're sitting watching this video and you're like, I don't like dating, I really don't like dating apps, I think that most men out there are terrible. There's no one good enough. Dreading the idea of going out there and dating and meeting more people, right? And you're not getting the results that you want. You haven't been on dates in a while. You feel like you haven't found that guy. And the more you date, the more you feel like, I don't even know if that guy is out there for me, right? If that's how you feel, then what you're doing is obviously not working for you. And the worst thing that you can possibly do is then just try to justify what you are doing, because what you are doing or have been doing is obviously not working for you. So the best advice for you to completely do a 180 from what you have been doing. So if you've been trying to go on these fancy dates on the first date and you're trying to filter through these men and you're saying no to every guy who asked you for a coffee date, then the intelligent thing to do, and again, this is not just like dating, focused. You can apply that same idea and that same advice in any other area of your life. But the absolute best thing that you can possibly do is do the opposite of what you've been doing so far. So if you've been only going on these fancy dinner dates, maybe what you should be doing is going on these coffee dates, these simple dates, right? Again, you do whatever you want to do. This is your life. This is your choice. This is your love life. And if you're happy with the results that you're currently getting, then by all means, continue doing what you're doing, right? Don't come on here on my channel, other people's channel, and just expect to find, company in your misery, right? That you're not doing what you're doing, or dating is horrible, or men are terrible, or women are horrible, or there's enough of that in the world. Nobody needs more of that. So if you're about to drop a comment like that, I'm going to save you some time. No one cares. No one cares, right? You're just wasting your own time. But if you genuinely want to change that, if you want to build a relationship that you want to build, then maybe changing your ways is what's going to help you get closer to that goal, rather than trying to stick to your ways and try to justify that by trying to find other people in the comment section who agree with you. So you feel better about your decision, whatever it is that you want to do, right? So again, I don't even know if I want to get into these comments right now. I feel like this video is long enough the way it is, but there are so many excuses. Oh, but I don't have time during the week, or I don't have this, or I might as well eat anyway. You guys are not making it any better on yourselves. The more I read these comments, the more I just shake my hand and just don't understand. Oh yeah, man should be able to impress me and all of that stuff. You guys are obviously coming from a place of lack. If you're impressed by someone's ability to pay for your chicken salad sandwich, you're obviously coming from a place of lack. You're obviously, putting priorities in the wrong places. You're obviously focusing on the wrong things. Coming to dating, if you want to attract an equal, if you want to attract someone with confidence, if you want to attract someone who with abundance, right, then you should come to this with abundance, right? If you're going out there I want someone to pay for this, I want somebody to pay for that, don't do that. Listen, I don't want to make this video any longer. And if you guys are really interested in seeing some of these, comments and, oh yeah, first dates, it's boring. I don't want to go to a boring place. First dates should never be boring, especially not first dates where you consider to have a second date. It should never be boring. But that has nothing to do with the venue. That should have nothing to do with where you're at. If you're in the right company, if you're with the right person, right, anything could be fun. I have people in my life that I know, I don't care if we're stuck on an elevator. I know I'm going to have the best time. I know that I'm going to have a few laughs. I know we're going to enjoy this time. I don't care what we do. We can be stark in the dark in an elevator, and I know that we'll have a good conversation. I know that we'll have a couple of laughs. Their company is what I'm focusing on, right? That's the problem. If you're focusing on the experience, the dinner, the show that you're going to see, the axe throwing activity and all that, maybe what you should be focused on is just living a more fulfilling life, right? A more interesting life. Maybe you should have friends and other things that you could do all of these things with. So you don't come to dating oh, they need to do all of these things for me. Our first date is an ability to get to know one another. This is not entertainment. This is not them trying to impress you. It's also not them being your therapist, right? It's an opportunity to get to know one another, maybe share a couple of laughs and just carry on a conversation. This is not you sharing about your life and all these deep things and about your ex and about your traumas, nor this is, an opportunity for you to be entertained by a guy. This is not why you're doing this, right? And if it is why you're doing this, then again, maybe you should reconsider and look at some of your priorities and see how you need to align your life a little bit better. Hopefully this video was helpful. If you have any genuine, real questions about this and you want to learn more, then by all means, right, drop a comment in the comment section. If you're here to say something negative about like how this is not good and blah, 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 I'll save you some time and tell you I'm not interested. Nobody is interested. This channel is built for people who want to better their love lives, right? So if you've been doing whatever it is that you're doing and it's working for you, then by all means, I wish you luck. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to comment. You don't have to be here, right? I'm not here to try to please everyone. But if you're here to learn, then by all means, I'm going to be happy to look at some of your questions, maybe address some of these things in my future videos. Let me know if this is something that you enjoy. I feel like I want to do a lot more of these unscripted, raw, no BS, very direct type of videos. I actually really enjoy doing that on YouTube right now because it just gave me an opportunity to really talk things out. Imagine, I used to do this on Instagram in my stories while I'm singing in my car. If you know, every story on Instagram is 60 seconds, so I used to be cut, right? Every 60 seconds and have to like catch my thought again and be like, what am I talking about again? Oh yeah, and just continue from there. And I used to make these like, you know, long series of stories where it was like 10 different stories. So it's like 10 minutes. And now I'm just being able to like, I don't know how long this video is going to be, probably like half an hour or so. So I appreciate if you guys are still here. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.